We'll go ahead and start. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. With the snow out there, that you made the opportunity to come out and listen to this. We're excited to present some information about pilot study for all of you. So I want to start with introductions so you know that who's all here. So I'm Megan Brown with the Department of Ecology, and I'm an engineer for ecology, and we'll be working on this project.
I'm Jennifer Olson.
Lindsay Judas. We have lunch. And we're the pilot study. You're in Barron County? I'm here. Okay. I'm Colleen Little, also with Spokane County. Newman. Okay. Introduce yourself.
I'm Curtis Johnson, and I am a water with Spokane and Ponderay watershed with ecology. And I'm getting some feedback that we're breaking up our audio. So you might want to turn your phones off up there.
Okay. And you want to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Seth Elson. I'm a planner in Ecology's water quality program in Olympia, and I'm the grant manager for this project.
Seth couldn't be here today for the meeting. So we do have other ecology employees in the audience, and so if you have questions, I can point you to which one can help answer your questions. Okay? We'll get started with the presentation, and then after the presentation, we have plenty of time for questions. And we also, on the online, we're letting people go ahead and add questions. So if you're online and you have a question, go ahead and type it in, and then we'll read it out loud when questions time comes. Okay? So, take my glasses off, I'm to the computer now. So tonight's agenda. What I want to go over tonight is what has happened out at Newman Lake in the past with the water quality. And we're going to just go over that just a little bit because about the future, not the past. So we're just going to hit on that. We want to talk about the wastewater treatment pilot study that we've already spoken about a little bit to give you information moving forward on that. And then the benefits of a successful pilot study. What does that mean for all of you? I want to start with a quote for all of you, because what we want in this meeting is all of you to see hope for your lake. And we want to be working with you, not against you at this point, so that we can move forward and help all of you with your quality issues. So this is Jim Henson that did this quote and said, "When I was young, my ambition was to be one of the people who made a difference in this world. My hope is to leave the world a little better for having been there." And I know hearing from one of you, that's your choice. You would like to make this better after being there. And so that's what we're here to help you with today. So this is Newman Lake. This is where starts. So what we know from Newman Lake is that you guys have had a lot of studies gone into a lot of work on this lake, and Spokane County has helped you, so I'm going to let them talk a little bit about the background.
Yeah, so I don't know if how many of you remember, but back in April 2015, some of the Hudson Bay residents after a really frustrating spring, looking to the county for assistance on a fix not only the lake, also and most importantly,
Louder. We need to be louder. Yeah, because the microphone's back there. I heard it.
So, looking for ways to assist them, we asked the conservation district at the time to see if their programs that they had for septic systems might be able to help. that the conservation district stepped up to work with the community, to study the issue, implement this. And we're really excited for the Huntington Bay community to see finally beginning to take place. And we're also excited for the whole entire Newman community. This is supposed to be a good opportunity. We're here today and this forward.
You can see there's a lot of agencies here trying to help. Okay, so from these background studies, what we have found is that we have quite a few algal blooms that are causing some issues in the lake that we're all aware of. And we do know what is phosphorus and nitrogen. You get those two ingredients in the lake, that's just like you're fertilizing your lawn. You got phosphorus and nitrogen on your lawn, you're fertilizing your lawn, it helps it grow. You get phosphorus and nitrogen in the water. The nitrogen is usually always there. Once we add the phosphorus to it, we've now made a nice plant growth. And we want to stop that plant growth because we want you to be able to have a lake that has great fish and great water quality for your recreation. So because of these findings from all the studies that have been done, there are two things that they found were a problem. One of them is the sediment. So all the sediment goes into the lake. That has been causing an issue. It also brings with it the phosphorus and other chemicals into the lake. And we don't want that happening anymore. So that's one thing that the county has been working really with the homeowners association to say, let's see what we can do to stop the sediment from coming into the lake. Management plans they've worked on, things like that. Well, the other problem that we have is the septic tanks around the lake. One thing with the septic tanks, you notice from the picture here, it shows you groundwater does flow to the lake. And so I'm going to be showing you some more information about why we're concerned about those septic tanks. Back when the total maximum daily load study was done for the lake, at the phosphorus level that ecology did, that phosphorus level was set, and in that they spoke about the septic tanks. But we haven't done anything about the septic tanks to try to help you guys with that at this point, and that's what we're trying to do now. So I first want to talk about the drainage area for Newman Lake. So the drainage area, as you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it. I have an orange line to show you how big the drainage area is for your watershed. This drainage area is like a big bowl. So all of the surface water drains into the lake, into the tributaries, which drain into the lake. And we got the groundwater underneath because you have shallow bedrock on top that's not very deep. And some of it's very permeable, some of it's not. So the groundwater just moves through it or it moves through the cracks in the underlying bedrock. It's either going to go down to the aquifer or it's going to come into your lake. And when it comes in, particles with it, or I should say constituents with it. Next thing I want to show you is, this is the parcel map for the lake. You can see how tiny these parcels are. You can see how many parcels we have around the lake. Down here, look at the parcels down here. They're a little bit bigger right here. We've got many small parcels here. We have many small parcels here. So these parcels have been here in all this exact configuration since 1940. And so we have a lot of parcels on this lake that are very close to the lake that have homes that are discharging. So that's what we want to talk about today. So you can also see up close here, and also show you, you can see how many docks are here, so how many homes we have. Secondary lots too on that lake. So we want you to realize that. So what we've done in the past and what we're doing now, I'm going to let Colleen talk about the first two bullets, because that's what the Spokane County's been working on.
All right, so the water quality for Newman Lake was it's the implementation plan that's born of the TMDL, which is sets the phosphorus loading criteria. So the intent is to try to find a way to reduce the phosphorus loading that comes in this large watershed that she showed us there. So again, I'm kind of repeating what Megan just said, but the sources are septic and sediment. And so today's focus is for septic. Just a couple of elements from that very long and segregating out all the different things that were called out to be done in that plan. There's quite a few. I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. So one of them is to increase the public's awareness on how they contribute to either the benefit based on things they do on their shoreline, and placing things out on the Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District. We try to keep it current. We try to put out information as it becomes available. That's one of the things in the plan. Another thing in the plan is flyers, mailers, newsletters. This last year or two, we backed down on physical mailers to save money to the district, and instead we do a monthly update. It's just gives us every single month of all the things that are going on and we think you might want to know about. I get a lot of feedback from them, so it's a good open communication there. And then one other report that sticks out is the State of the Lake report. That's an annual report that we do every year that allows us to operate the alum protection system in the lake. Over the last couple of years, we've tried to expand it just a little bit to include a little layman's terms and a little bit more for the public and the community so that the State of the Lake report has more body to it. And then on public education, I'm just going to talk just briefly about two things that are sort of on the forefront. One of them is, it keys into what she was saying, how dense parcels are around the lake. One of our staff members has been in communication with the advisory board for the Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District. And he would like to do a public education and outreach on specific things you can do in your yard if you're a lakefront owner to help protect against erosion, limit the lake by limiting the type of fertilizing, even just the way you care for your lawn. Some of these things aren't well publicized or well known. So he's really excited about doing that this year. Another thing that's right now is the Love Your Lake campaign. Leanne Gould on the advisory board is also working with our staff. What those goals will look like, and I think she's patterning this another campaign that she's seen elsewhere in Washington State. But it's a way to get the community involved with maybe a or short monthly outreach, and then maybe larger long range outreach goals, just to connect the community more to what's going on. And then the last thing I was going to mention is that recently, in this last 6 months, Cocaine County has partnered with the Land Council, and they, I couldn't possibly cover everything they do, but what we're partnering with them is they're volunteering to do installation. If we pay for the materials for some of the best management practices that Megan was referencing, they'll do the volunteer work. They're all about increase the environment, habitat, and water quality in particular. So we're partnering with them. We're hoping to get to a project on Thompson Creek that will reduce the sediment load into the lake.
And just to say one more thing on what she's saying, Curtis's job is the watershed job. My job is permitting. And so Curtis is also going to be working with the county and with all of you on the whole watershed idea and how you can help with that. So he's going to be a good contact to help. But what we're going to talk about today is the septic system. And there was a survey that was done back in 1990. And I want to talk a little bit about that was done. So what we found out from that survey, this survey was done by Spokane County Regional Health, and they actually went out door to door and talked to people. And we found out that most of these houses were constructed in 1940. Found out that there were, at this time, there were 307 lakefront homes. I'm not sure what there is today. There was 550 total residences in the watershed, and 40% occupied year-round the watershed. They also found out these were the disposal system types. So 40, they didn't have the regulations that we have today. They didn't have you get your systems approved. So these are the systems found out were at the lake with 40% occupancy back in 1990. I think that occupancy has probably changed a little bit now when we're talking about 2020. Okay. So with these septic systems, we'll talk a little bit about how they work. So how they're supposed to work if they're designed correctly, which some of these are designed like cesspools, so they don't totally work like this, is you're supposed to be getting some treatment in the soil. So it goes in here, we settle out the solids, the liquid comes in here, we get treatment in the soil before it hits the ground. What happens here is if this hasn't been maintained, when I bought my house down in Moscow, our drain field hadn't been maintained, and I found out we had to put a new one in. So you're right next to lake property, lakefront. If this hasn't been maintained, just for those nutrients go right down to the groundwater. And when you're talking about a shallow soil, and you're talking about depth of bedrock right there, and then that water moves right along that bedrock and soil interface. And it also moves through the cracks. So that's what we're concerned about right now. So this is from the Spokane Regional Health District, and what they say on their website is an properly designed, located, constructed, or maintained septic system can allow viruses, household chemicals, and other contaminants into the groundwater, creating the potential for serious human illness. So if we have septic systems that have been discharging that are not designed correctly, they have probably overloaded that soil by now. Once you overload that soil and you have that groundwater coming up during those times when the groundwater is higher, it's going to be taking those constituents out of that groundwater. And when you're sitting in a bowl, those constituents are only going to go one place, and that's in your lake. So this gives you a little bit more information, because this is, here's the system here, the infiltration that's supposed to happen. Again, you guys have very small soil columns there. It goes right into the water table, and then down and recharge the aquifer, but with that rock there and with the groundwater flow, it's going to flow right into your lake. You're in a big bowl. So we've got this huge drainage area, all of it flowing in one direction to your lake. We got groundwater flowing towards your lake. We've got the lake open to bring all of that in. So now what we say is, let's go to this first. No, okay. This tells you how much groundwater is flowing into your lake. This is a study that they did. So it tells you that during the so that's the really wet months, your groundwater goes way up cubic feet per month. This is how much groundwater is flowing in. That's a lot of groundwater. This is not surface water. This is groundwater past your septic tank. Yeah. What this I want to show you right here, because this is what's coming in and pushes the water over the dam. This is how much comes in and pushes all that water over the dam. Okay? Right here, no going over your dam, because that's summertime. We've got the lake up to the level that we want, so we don't have water going over the dam. All that constituents in that groundwater coming in sits in your lake come summer. When are you using your lake cabins? During the summer. So everything that you're sitting there flushing in your toilet, it's now coming into your lake and it's sitting. Okay, now time it's going back over. Your lake takes 1 year and 2 months to turn over. So that it sits there and it takes 1 year and 2 months before that water leaves. That gives it time to drop the nutrients. By the way, the Spokane River, it turns over in 6 months. To give you an idea. Okay, so this right here shows you the phosphorus test results from 2012 to 2019. The green one right here is the minimum that you've gotten that have been turned in on the lake reports, and this is your average. You can see that we've been having a problem with the phosphorus, because this is what ecology put in that total maximum daily load, our TMDL. That's what we want it to be at for a healthy lake. This is where you guys have been. You guys have been working hard with the alum, you've been working with the oxygenation, but there's one component we haven't talked about, and that's the septic tank. And this is still being really high, which means you're going to have the algae that's still going to be growing. This I want to show you is your clarity readings. Your clarity readings, this is the maximum, this has been your average, this has been your minimum. See Your therapy readings have not really improved between 2012 and 2019. They have pretty much been going along the same way. So there is still stuff going in the water that we need to stop. You're trying to control it, like I said, but there are still phosphorus going in there that's causing an issue with the lake. What we're going to talk about now is the Honeymoon Bay project for the pilot study, because we think that this is going to be a good solution.
Anyway, yep.
Oh, you want it?
No, that was fine. You can- Oh, cool.
There you go.
Awesome. So this project, just to give you a really brief background, I guess Mary Ann and Walt, my boss, we were chatting, and obviously as Dan introduced, the community kind of talking something about some of the issues. And you guys recognize that we had a loan program and on-site center through the project. So creatively come up with a way to find some solutions to these problems. So 2018, we started down the path of doing a feasibility study to see if we could find it. And what's that? Okay, more. Okay. And we didn't know what the answer was, but we recognized that you're essentially in an impossible situation. We didn't have an answer through kind of the traditional methods of septic systems, and we didn't know how to fix it, but we know that you're stuck with no way to deal with it. So that was our goal, was to find a solution. We have these hard meetings and hard discussions, and we're still plugging along with that. So the feasibility was finished up at the end of 2018, early 2019. And we worked with a work group that was people in the community. Some of them are here tonight. And since then, we've moved forward into developing a pilot project. And that's when we hired Morrison Maryland and Kenneth project. And we worked again with the work group to identify some places that would be suitable and give us good information to test out some of the systems that were identified in the feasibility study and see if we can make them work well for the greater Newman Lake community, and specifically starting out in Honeymoon Bay because we know serious need there. So anyway. There we go. Why are we going to do a pilot? Because the lake quality improvements. We need a new auction, and we're looking to satisfy these requirements so that we can have options and show that they're feasible, show that they're affordable, or at least comparable in what our expectations are, and then what those costs are. So here's where we're kind of zooming in. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room knows like better than I do, even though I've been out there a whole lot. I don't know property there. But the first area that we're looking at is here in the Honeymoon Bay area. So I want to zoom in some more. Through the discussions with the work group, we identified a few key locations that we'd like. We gathered applications for anyone in the Honeymoon Bay community to ask, to be included in the study, to put in, to be given the opportunity to participate in the study. We ranked those applications, and then we settled as a group on a few. We're trying to do 2 and have enough money left over at the end of doing 2, or once we've kind of figured out the final cost of these things, we'll shoot for a third study location. So the first 2 are within this yellow one here. This is the Anthony Rachel Kerr's property. They are going, and Kenneth's going to dive into some details about what we're going to be looking at their house and what kind of a system we're going to be studying. But we're going to be looking at a UC system, the next one, and then this is the house, and they are going to be looking at a microbial system. For those of you that are in Honeymoon Bay, you've got a little bit of an upper echelon knowledge of what the differences between these 2 systems are, but as probably not everybody in the room is quite as familiar, we'll let Kenneth dive into some of the details of both of those systems.
So these are two systems, microbics in the lower right, and then a larger abusing system there. Reason, part of the original feasibility study that was done. They're both on the State Department of Health and Technology list, so they've already been vetted by the state. Figured, just for continuity between that feasibility study and pilot study, we would take them. So why did we choose, in this case, they're both MBR systems, membrane bioreactors, but the broader sense of enhanced treatment in Department of Health language. So we chose them because they have a much higher level of treatment than a septic tank field. Do not rely on the soil for any sort of treatment. The water is already treated before it gets to the soil. They have a very small physical footprint compared to, a septic tank is only as good as the drain field is feeding, really. So when you take that component out, you're getting a much higher level. We also have, based on how they work, a much lower sludge production for the regular septic. So these are the two. The one up top is similar to what is envisioned for fourth property. It comes fully packaged, ready to plumb. What we intend to do is the house sits up above, and you've seen it with the two retaining walls. So we put that down there, intercept your current cesspool, run it through the MBR, and use the cesspool for the pilot study as a disposal. So we're just kind of inline plumbing it to get that level of treatment, and we'll monitor it on the discharge of biomicrobics. Will go next door to the hot site. And that one will be retrofit into their existing septic, and we'll be monitoring as soon as that comes out of the septic tank. We'll be looking at that quality there to make sure everything's running. We're probably going to monitor so we'll get a good sampling through the summer when the high loading, and then as it trickles off into the fall. So this is kind of our draft thinking for our monitoring. As we get things set up, for the first week daily until we get things dialed in. 3 to 4 samples in week 2, and then weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. It's going to be very non-invasive to the homeowners. The monitoring port will be out there. The sample collector will just go pull the sample, take it back to the lab, and we'll track the results. But you can see in this graphic, raw sewage, plant reclaimed water. Both these systems have the ability to get that reclaimed water. So you're looking at the 3 big constituents of concern: nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. It virtually eliminates those with these systems, and nitrogen 90.9 and 98, phosphorus removal. So you're actually getting the removal from these systems that puts you into compliance with those limitations. Now, yeah. So the systems that were for the pilot study range between $30,000 and $40,000, but they have 25 to 35-year spans and potentially longer. It is a live filter media, which has to be swapped out. Both of them, manufacturers do that under a maintenance contract, which is about $500 per year. So the homeowner has very little maintenance on it. They come out, swap the filters, they take care of all of that. If they have alarm, so if they're failing, the manufacturer gets an alarm, they come out. And then, the pilot study will use the existing discharge applications, but as we look to implement more around the lake, we'll have to look at alternate ways of disposing of that discharge.
And when he talks about 25 to 35 years lifespan, that's not the actual system that goes away. What it is, there's components in the system that just like the pump, you have to change out a pump like that. It's not like the whole system has to be taken out and you got to buy a new system. Little maintenance things that we're talking about on there.
Like maintaining.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk now about the pilot project outcomes. I have some guests here that are gonna come up, and it's Gary and Sheila are gonna come up and do some talking here. But first, I want a little bit, because Gary and Sheila are from Sashing Lake. And I'm their program manager up at Sashing Lake. Sashing Lake is 1/4 the size of your lake. It has almost the same depth that your lake has. It had a high rate of algae blooms. I want to say had a high rate of algae blooms. They also had a study done in 1991. You guys have had studies done in 1974 and 86. Say what the problem is. So they put in a full-blown sewer system. And the full-blown sewer system, they had to blast rock because they have shallow bed rock also in Sashing Lake. And so by doing all that, it was an expensive system to go. So what we're trying to do here is we're looking at alternative systems. Maybe won't cost as much. And that's what we're going to look at now. And that's why we're doing the pilot study to see if this would be a nice alternative for this lake. And, you know, their system cost a lot. I'm not going to go through the actual numbers here. It cost a lot. Your lake's 4 times the size. So that's why we're trying a different option here. Okay. Seeing if this would look good for the homeowner. So if I can get Gary and Sheila to come up here, they work very hard on this, so that they can tell you a little bit how it went for them.
Where would you like it?
Not just anywhere up here, 'cause we're recording right here, so you can be right where I am. That'd be great.
I just recently retired as of last month from working for the district for better than 25 years, from the inception of our studies, getting, installing, and operating the system for 4 years. The numbers you were showing aren't far off the mark. And I was quite surprised for our whole system. And that truly wasn't an issue of the cost. We ran into problems. We are definitely a bowl. Most of our lakes are bowls, you know, a granite bowl, and you know that the term, it flows downhill. So we knew that. The septic tank studies we did, went to the county and looked up what they had on file. Most of them were just penciled in and then signed by whoever was the engineer at the time, who I think was even in Spokane. The records weren't kept in Flatbury County. So even getting the records of what we had in place was difficult. And what we found when we did construction were even worse than what we thought. So the thought of maintaining a system on site for us was very difficult because of our soil conditions and our rock and the angles we have that and truly being the whole. So I think Newman Lake is flatter from what I can tell from the pictures and the topos I've seen. So that's a little bit different problem. But since we've installed Gary.
Well, I was surprised to look at the map and think, heck, we are lake. 50-foot lots, boom, 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 boom. You have your septic system and your well within touching distance. That's the case for us. We don't have a septic system. Wells, I don't know what your water system. Think about how close your water system is. With our property, most of the homes are 30 feet from the water, 20 feet, very close. So that was a big thing. So when I bought my place 20 years ago, I have a 60-foot dock. I could not see the bottom at the end, and I just thought it was because of the weeds. Yeah, we have a lot of weeds, well, all over. 3 years later, I can go out the 7 feet down. I can see my anchor chain hooked to the anchor on the loop. I can see about 10 feet past that, all kinds of rocks. I didn't even know were there. To me, he says, hey, this is perfect.
So our initial step, well, I'm going to go back to 1992 when we really started working with the program going. Well, of course, you can't ever get 100% okay. You know, everyone's not going to be on board. And so for 2 years, we tried to get more and more information and more people on board. And granted, at the end, we didn't have everyone on board. So it's not an easy thing to do because it costs money. even if it's free, I think people won't agree that it's a good thing. But I think I can't tell you the first time someone told me, well, I voted against it, but taking pink when it passed. And I was like, how do you do? My brother told me, next door. My brother said it wasn't good. It's kind of like, and he had stuff going down to the right. It's kind of like, okay, so you need to think about what this does for the whole community. It's not just me. We put our system in 30 years ago, and in a way, most of the systems at our lake had to have waivers to qualify. Ultimately, it's not about me alone, person alone. It's about the community as a group and your lake as a whole, and the future of that lake for 7 generations. I think, I don't know how they say it, but it's an Indian war that to take care of the earth for the next 7 generations. It's not about us. We've got kids, we've got grandkids. We've got to do it now because it's harder to do when it's failed. And we did have a lot of people say, well, we don't have to do it. No one's telling us we have to do it. Wait until ecology tells us you have to do it. But you're in bad shape. So I think it's one of those things, proactive. And you guys talked to Dennis a couple years, I think it's almost 2 years now. So you guys you've been working on it. It's not something that happens quickly. Like, this is a whole different thing that was even available when we were looking. And that's just a couple years ago. So technology is changing. I wish you well. It's a tough road to hoe, but you've got lots of agencies within the community. Andre County, our soil and water conservation district, I know this is strong in Spokane County. So it's nice to have more agencies to help out on all those issues.
I can only say that I didn't really want to pay the bill. Still don't want to pay the bill. I'm glad I'm doing it. See people here tells you, oh, we went up there to destroy a person's septic tank. They didn't know. All was caved in. That's about 8 houses from me. So they didn't even know it. It's underground, toilet flush.
If it doesn't come up.
Until you don't know what's going on. I'm thrilled to do it.
Thanks, Gary. What we're focusing on is the pilot study. We want to see if this pilot study is going to do what we think it's going to do. We know from test results that it does wastewater to the degree that we need for the lake to help the water quality in the lake. And we want you to remember this picture of as it infiltrates, you want to make sure that's clean so it infiltrates into that groundwater into your lake without those constituents of concern that we're worried about. So what does success look like then for this pilot study? Like we're going to have fewer algae blooms. It looks like the potential for higher clarity readings, as Gary was talking about. Their clarity within just a year in their lake was practically different. And now it's been 3 years, and it's just getting clearer and clearer because of their system. You have a beautiful lakeshore experience now because you won't have as many weeds, and you're going to have some safe recreation because you don't have things going down into the lake for people. So that's what we're hoping with the pilot study is that that's what this monitoring will show. And so with that, we're ready for questions. Anybody have any questions? Oh, we did a good job. And talk loudly, because we have a mic.
I heard you just say you're going to do.
Yes, we're 2 homes.
Do you think that's going to change the whole lake?
No, what we're doing on the 2 homes, you want to talk?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what we're doing on the 2 homes is we're checking these systems to see if these systems will have the quality that we need so the phosphorus and nitrogen will stop going into the lake. If these systems will do that, we're going to be coming back in a year and talking again with all of you saying, here's the results of these systems. This is what these systems, and talking to you, working with you, say, do you think this is a good option? That's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying a different option than what they had to do back then.
One more question.
Yeah.
Probably 10 or 15 years ago, on Honeyman Bay, enter the sewer project to go around the lake. And they were talking about putting the pipe in the lake and catching it. Hey, you're laughing, but sooner or later, with the big septic tanks, sewer is going to be needed. Should you be attacking the sewer right now?
This is a sewer system.
If it's not attached.
You don't have to have a sewer. These are called small enhanced treatment systems. This is another option because right now, in order for us to do a collection system around the lake, it's going to be millions because of your rock. The lift stations that you're going to have, it's not something that we can run in the lake. That's not something that we're going to allow. It's sewage lines in the lake. They're going to be up on the rock. You're going to have to lift stations. You're going to have to collection systems. Those collection systems break down. They get clogged up. There are issues with them. So what we're trying is a different option, and you would still have to have somebody oversee these instead of having all of that mechanical treatment stuff and then have it be set place. We're trying to do it locally at each house, and it can be 4 houses together on a system the way these systems work, and so it doesn't have to be individual houses. And then because of that, people can leave, and these systems can be started right back up again. A little bit of bugs put in them. So these are good systems like that, but it would be considered, if we went that route, it'd be considered the sewer system for the lake. But that's where we'd come back in a year and we'd talk to all of you about the results.
I was just wondering, with Sasheen, we have milfoil up there. How has that, getting rid of this phosphorus and nitrogen, has that helped with the weed problem? They're fertilizers after all.
Well, weeds, the thing about milfoil, it likes as well as that's the bad thing about milfoil. But we have seen fewer weeds, but we have weeds that are, weeds are really hard. But milfoil alone is.
We have algae. So we have a lot of algae, right? There's a lot of scuba diving in the lake, right? No oil control. And that has dramatically decreased the water clarity and all of that algae that kind of floats around, that little stuff. All the plants come free all the time. Plants are clean out and have little fine algae going on.
So that fertilizer is gone.
All right. So
Okay, so the section that just talked for the people that are online, and they said that the algae is cleaned up.
So how do you say 2 or 3 homes can be on the same system?
Yes, you can design it like that.
How many total?
It depends on how good the system you want to get.
These MBR systems specifically, and there are others out there, they are scalable. So you can start as low as a 250 gallon a day system for a single family, and up to almost 10,000 gallons, where they start to lose competitiveness. System, but you can put 3 homes on a 750.
Square feet is that?
So the units themselves for a 250 gallon day system is about 3 large lines for the Busey, and then it's about 1 to 2 septic tanks with the biomicrobial. So
Underground.
yeah. So and then the infiltrated capacity of the soil, and not necessarily you're not needing that soil treatment component, so you can dramatically shrink the discharge of clean water. What it is, you're discharging clean water.
It wasn't for you, never.
How's that take care of the groundwater?
Your constituents before it gets to you.
So if we go back here, we want to remove it right here. So when the water goes in here, we don't have to worry about those.
So you're not worried about the amount of water, you're just worried about the quality of the water.
The quality,
Correct.
that. Treatment before that. We had a question way in the back. You can raise your hand.
Yeah, so if it works out, then, works everybody over.
We come back and we talk to you as the lake property owners and say, this is now working. This would be the cost. What do you think? This is what we want your buy-in on that. If there's other guys want to do to clean up the water, we can talk to you about that.
What about on our side of the lake, all the drainage around there, you know, maybe shoot that straight.
Right, that's what I agree with. That's why we have to clean it up
That's
here.
why I'm asking if they go there, put it in the 40s, 50s. That's why I'm asking is those systems do work, that already work. So I think if pilot programs will work out. So do you come back then and say, like everybody, you know, neighbors and myself, are we gonna be forced to put those systems in?
We're gonna come back in a year and we're not going to force, we're going to talk and say, what do you guys want
Well,
to
what
do?
about after that?
After that talk, it's up to the residents. What do the residents want? As Sashi Lake said, this handful wanted it, this handful didn't. But in the end, the handful now is over here, and they're really happy it got put in. So this is why we're having this meeting now, so that you guys can start talking about this as the residents of the lake and say, what do you guys want for your lake? Yeah.
One other thing about that is that right now, these systems are not permittable in the state of Washington as far, or well, given our current rules, we can't just put these in. So we have to prove through this pilot study that this is even a viable.
See, and Lindsay, that's been my question.
Yeah.
You guys say pilot studies. All pilot studies have endpoints, so you've already said that the VA has said this is okay. The two systems you chose have met your requirements already.
So the Department of Health maintains a list for the state, maintains a list of approved enhanced treatment systems. Both of these are, there are other systems. What makes the permitting a little bit trickier is the district. Because on-site sewer regulations in the state of Washington.
No, I understand all that. I get it all, because I've been, I know the system. Point of it is, just keep saying pilot study, yet you say the influence has already been approved. That's pretty good charge, I understand the whole, doesn't matter if it's groundwater, I mean, I get all that. But why, what are pilot study? What's your interjected cost? Grants, I mean, are we trying to prove the technology or not?
This is the deal. It's that for the Department of Health to these facilities, they have to get treatment in this soil. So these systems are on an approved list for the Department of Health. But the Department of Health cannot permit these systems clean so well, there is no treatment in the soil.
That's not my.
Oh, not quite. Okay.
Yeah, because that makes no sense.
So we can permit these systems, but we do require, infiltrated area, and a lot of, like, the Honeymoon Bay, that soil is not there.
But isn't the study that soil is not an important component, that the machines and the technology are here? So if that's already been proven by this list that they're approved devices, why can't we start implementing this process without study if you guys are in for your study?
Part of this study, under the new reclaimed water rule in the state of Washington, been in 2 years. Part of permitting under that new reclaimed water rule is a feasibility analysis where you have to show some level of study and data. This can aid in that, in progressing towards that ultimate goal, maybe looking at different ways to get into compliance.
But, go ahead.
I think that this can also provide input on the alternate discharge point. You know, what they're working on in the pilot study, they're not going to your typical, they're going to.
We're showing that smaller footprint discharges, certain things like that are going to be okay. Because under the on-site rule, as you know, I mean, you have a specific, the water quality and our discharges are working through the pilot studies specifically at Honeymoon Bay. That can then go into that feasibility analysis moving forward.
I get all that. What I'm saying is you showed us these nitrogen, phosphate, and chloride. comes first. If the manufacturer is saying that our effluent already is these percentages, you can almost virtually drink the water. Why do you then have to turn around and put the clean water you're sticking in? My dirt is going to still come out cold. If you've already met the end point of the study of saying our effluent is clean, something's not making sense. Me, we got slow.
Okay, in order for this to happen, for everybody to start putting them, you can't put them in and run it yourself. So an entity has to oversee
No,
it.
I understand that.
In order to get an entity to oversee this, so that he can write a permit for these, it's going to. So we want a pilot study, want to see if these are going to work. We want to see, do you like it? Is the cost good? Is everything good? Can we get an entity formed that can oversee these, to take care of them, do the maintenance on them, so then this will work for your lake. That's what we're looking at. And we have some questions online. Let's do a couple questions online.
Okay, so this is from Rick Guthrie. He wants to know if we can use these materials and presentations to educate others in Newman Lake.
Yes, what we'll try to do is put these up maybe on a website that we already have set up for Newman Lake, and then that way you guys can go to that website and link this presentation and the material. Okay.
Okay, here's another one from Rick Guthrie. Our cabin and our neighbor's cabin have holding tanks. How many septic systems are in existence?
With regional county health, and I asked them to give me that information from that survey that they did, and the actual numbers for that got put away, the actual survey sheets. And so I'm working with them right now to try to get that information around the lake.
And then it's a two-part question. Also, what % shoreline is used by livestock, wildlife, and farming?
You want to answer that, Curtis? I put you on the spot here. Curtis is new to ecology, guys.
Right. I would say there's a small percentage is used overall for farming, which is coming out of the Thompson Creek.
Whole top of the lake.
Okay, Gabby, did you want to answer it all to that question about how much is used for grazing and farming? Okay. Okay.
What's that?
Oh, okay.
That might answer. Was asking about
Oh,
number.
yeah, I don't have a answer. You have a committed memory, Dennis?
Yes.
If you do.
Presenter.
Yeah. I would love your input on that. Go for it.
The Honeyman study composed of 84 parcels. 60 of those have houses on them. Of those, they found that 53 of the 60 were either too old and had to be addressed, or were newer and of a design that had to be addressed. 53 of the 60 houses need to be addressed. Holding tanks, they simply stated that there are several cesspools still in vintage. Some of them actually fairly modern. And there were holding tanks present. I don't know that they gave that. I believe that is a good representative community for our lake. It started.
Okay, Curtis, go ahead and read another one.
Another one from Rick Guthrie. Are the above ground systems subject to freezing during the winter? And it's no, and that's why they have the Conex box, right? Or containers.
They can be susceptible to freezing, depending on the configuration. So the Connex, if it's in a Connex, it's typically insulated, and then the unit itself produces enough heat to warm up space. Sometimes in homes with basements, these are actually in the mechanical room inside the house.
Yeah, these are, I think that was one of the interesting selling points when we first saw this in the feasibility feasibility study, there's, well, you can just put it in one of your spare bedrooms or whatever. Of course, if you have a tiny cabin that you're using every single bit of space, that's a challenge, but, so coming up with a creative place to put it, like in an insulated garage, you know, something, there are options for it. We're starting out with kind of the conics and above, easily accessible place. Part of that reason though, is we have to do this monitoring of it, so we need to have that access.
We may have to take,
That's right.
but like a 250 gallon day system which would come close to the homes, three large boxes.
That's in addition to the, tank.
No, there is septic.
Oh, there isn't.
It comes right into, it goes into a settling tank. Membrane tank.
So these systems, so I want to make sure that people online hear that. These systems do not have a septic tank, they replace the septic tank. Okay, with this treatment.
And they don't replace the drain field.
The drain field no longer has to be to DOH's
Okay.
design. Instead, it's going to be to Ecology's design, which means it's going to be groundwater infiltration.
I got a question about, you guys are putting these right at the corner where you go into, Honeymoon Bay, correct? There's a wall, you're sitting up above the lake. Where's the groundwater gonna, where's it go to now? I mean, there's no.
Goes right across the road,
Yeah, right underneath the road.
right across the road. And some people have hidden with buildings.
Well, I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out how much soil you have to have water to go into to make me happy in the health department.
So we, for the different soil types, we have a different loading rate for depending whether there's a lot of clay. If there's a lot of clay, you can't load it as much. If there's more sand, you can load it more. There's no vertical separation between where you're putting the water and where your groundwater is or your restricted water, like your bedrock is. We require something like this, really well treated, require a minimum of 2 feet. And so if you think about that, that's quite a bit of soil because you're burying your field, and so you've got some on top of that, and below that, below your infiltrative surface, that's where we would require that.
2 feet by what?
Excuse me?
Feet down and then.
So 2 feet down
And
between your where your
how big? By
okay,
300 feet?
so it's really gonna depend. It's gonna depend on the water you're soil you have. Like say you have a sort of gravelly sandy soil, you can load that at 0.8 per foot. And so if you have, you're discharging
3, 4 by 8 plywood. That's what you're saying. Saying it's only going to be 325 square feet. That's just a little over.
Would it be 250 gallons?
so, and that's your infiltrative surface. So if you say you're putting in a typical drain field, you put it in trenches. You need a distance between the trenches. Distance that doesn't count as the infiltrative surface. Looking at for your infiltrative surface is really just if you put a trench, that part of your infiltrative surface, not what's between them. So you're really, it ends up being quite a bit bigger.
You can essentially a 600 per treatment area. It's in an area more like 11, 12.
So we're talking here. Backfill it with whatever is in there for drainage. But it still could be 100 feet long, right? It could be.
What do you do with a 40-foot yacht lot?
Exactly.
That's the whole problem.
That's the biggest
I know,
problem.
and I thought it was going back to this is such pure water. Why do we need these huge land
No, 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 no.
That was his question on this system, how much land? do you need?
So that's part of the point, that's part of why this DOH, we would love to do what we can, this is a great innovative project. Our government a little bit more restricted, this water is really well treated, we just don't at this moment have the capability, and that's why ecology is a little bit.
So we are not looking for these long trenches. What we're looking for is we want the groundwater, we want this water that's well treated to infiltrate and not run over the road. So we will be working, if this is a success, we'll be working then with Kenneth, or he will be working with the Conservation District to come up with some design where we will have small infiltration basins for these that will not run on the road. And that's what we're looking at. We're not looking for treatment in the soil. So all we're looking at point is for them to infiltrate, go into the groundwater, and
If I understand it, you're sitting, what about all the lots that are on a hill, have no soil, not granite?
Oh,
Little
yeah,
steep
How about
things
your
going
house?
on.
Yeah.
How are you going to utilize these systems where nobody has any land, lots high up, and there's no soil? I'm for this system. I don't think, you're kind of, you're scared when you say, it's not going to be involved with how big these lots have to be. I'm kind of confused. Why can one department not have the same rules?
It's not that we don't have the same, but we permit different types.
she's looking for treatment in this soil. That's what DOH wants. They want that treatment.
Determines how much land we need for our effluent, for our clean water, rechargeable aquifer stuff.
I'm the engineer that will review his engineering report. And then that way we will tell you what the actual idea is if this system is a success, he's going to come up with some designs and say, this is what we need now. And so we'll try to come up with some typical designs for some of these difficult areas, and that's the plan of this. So then we will have an answer for you.
I just have an example. So we worked on a system that if we had to stop discharge based on the WAC, which is what Department of Health is down to, it's going to be about 1,600. And so, but we then did some soil tests. We looked at actual infiltrated capacity of the soil, and it was 10 times higher than that allowable loading rate. We're able to actually shrink that down to 200.
10 by 20 is that big.
Yes, yeah. 10 by 20. And these two, that discharge, since you're not using the soil to treat it, you can get a little how and where you're discharging. You don't have soil on certain parts of the lot. We did a system where we actually infiltrated under the driveway. It's like stormwater in a driveway.
Taking the survey of the actual sizes, the average size of the water in the lake, and then compared with your system of within the average, this is make sure that
Let's repeat the question. So he asked if we've done a survey of the average lots on Newman Lake.
I've not.
So the main thing,
We've done some survey of some of the ones that applied for the study, and one of the reasons the Orc property was chosen, and small footprint, put in any type of system. It would be a good.
let's see if we have a question online. We haven't done online for a while.
Yeah, what happens during a power outage?
So these systems have to have a 2-hour response time. Both systems are designed to fail shut. They're required by law to have at least 24 hours of storage built into the system. So you have 24 hours to get a back power or power back on.
That wouldn't have been enough a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Or you get a generator, or you stop flushing the toilet. You just hold it, go to the gas station.
Been there.
Okay, let's do another question.
So where does the effluent after treatment discharge to?
So in the case of these systems, you know, they're reclaimed water rule, and these systems, which can hit that reclaimed water standard, by law is no longer defined as wastewater or reclaimed water. It's clean water. So it will discharge into smaller footprints onto the site and just go into the groundwater without problem constituent.
But we can't call it reclaimed water because reclaimed water requires constant permitted testing. And to do that in these systems would be, that's what our rule requires. So instead, it'll be called an effluent, but it's going to be so clean, it'll just be able to infiltrate into the ground because it will already meet groundwater standards. So what we say, this is what groundwater should be so that it protects the public health. These are the limits that we have in our rules. And these are going to be, is that groundwater standard. So your groundwater is not going to be contaminated by any of these constituents, so it'll be safer.
About the.
Can you talk louder?
About the cost. Who's gonna be looking at some grants, possibly, decide that this is gonna work? Is there possibility of grants to help offset the cost of the homeowners?
So the question is there a possibility for grants to offset the cost of the homeowners?
Yeah, and Seth, if you want to chime in, feel free.
They're online.
So the Conservation District, we apply for grants. Right now, we have this on-site septic system program that is helping people connect. It's the majority of the work has been done connecting people like in the valley that have septic systems that needed to connect to their system. It also helps people with failing septic systems, stuff like that. And that's actually a grant through the Department of Ecology. And it also includes a low interest loan program. So envision something similar to that. Work with ecology to see if we can do another round of that. If the Newman Lake residents, you guys got together and like this system and it worked out well, that would be something, whatever district formation or whatever it is, entity could apply for those grants and loans as well. Something like that.
Oh, wait a second, let's see if Seth had anything. Seth, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I would just add that if these are successful, we would definitely try to continue working with the Conservation District to make sure that these systems are affordable and that we can provide some sort of a financing mechanism. So definitely try to continue maybe another phase of the grant and loan program to help.
And I had another question.
Okay.
Yeah. The
They
cheaper
do.
the more you buy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say, so, is there a certain fee to maintain these, like a yearly fee, like we got yearly, it sounds
Yeah.
like we're gonna have yearly fees for these. And then also you said something about 4 getting together, and so like, about 4 households together, would that be less of a cost, or is that?
Depends on your flow.
It depends on the flow. The system costs will go up. You'll have a higher. Your maintenance costs may go up if you're having second filtration. So you have to look at that.
Another online person.
I just want to answer Rick's question if he didn't. So it will be cheaper if you buy in bulk. Is there the ability to get block development grants to help pay for this? We choose to move forward. You just answered that as well, right?
Yeah, because we'll have an entity, yes, they can get grants and loans.
What is the yearly about?
Oh, it's about $500.
Now that's what it is if a private person has it. Okay, but what we're gonna be talking about is you're going to have an entity that's gonna oversee these. And so the entity then picks the sewer rate for that. And so right now, Sashi and Lake, $80 a month.
178.
178.
That's for repayment of our loan.
So 178 a month. That's why, yeah, that includes.
It is a
Yeah, so that is why what we are trying to do is something that's not as expensive. We're trying to keep that, so once you put this in, then the maintenance cost, like you said, should not,
500 is for one-off.
yeah.
For our economy scale, maintenance.
Go ahead, Dennis.
The community's investigation is looking for federal to help defray the cost of the installation. Our research found that if we'd have done this in 1980, the federal feds were sponsoring 90 cents on the dollar to put them in. Most recent one we found was giving us 38 cents on the dollar. Are we going to be looking for federal money? Does the entity look for that, or do you? And the price you give for the systems up here was the price that each of the vendors gave us for putting a unit in out in the middle of nowhere. The yearly cost, they estimated to me, went down 40% if it was a community type thing, because they would fabricate many of their pieces here in Spokane Valley instead of Minnesota and shipping it out here. So those prices, I guess I would like to hear from you that we would expect those to go down some degree by putting an effort both on your part and the
So for the ones that get shipped from the Midwest, building it in Spokane Valley versus Chicago or Minneapolis, that takes $5,000 shipping cost right off. That number drops 5,000 right there. And then if they're producing more and more pieces, that economy scale build.
What's the end date of the pilot study?
We're gonna do it for 2 years?
We'll have them in, we should have monitoring data. So we're putting them in around April. For depending, or it's wedding that we're trying to work around. So we're getting the actual installation.
Right.
But this spring,
With the
April,
lead times and everything, we could be
Right.
looking
Right.
for
And then we're gonna definitely monitor as we're starting out with this very aggressive, intensive monitoring. After that, and we're looking at 6 to 9 months for the regular monitoring. And then at that point, we move into this like a little bit more nebulous, flexible sort of what does ecology need to know from that point forward. So if we need to get them more information about it, because we don't know what it looks like right after.
Yeah,
that.
we'll
We're thinking like
revisit
2
the
years.
monitoring.
Yeah.
We do have the opportunity to Huckabee property. Sample in 2 different places. We can sample right out of the, see what's going into their drain field, and then they do have a discharge right by the road. We can monitor that to see what else may be seeping onto their site. So we're also going to be collecting
Whole
that
hill
data
behind
as
them.
well. But we'll be able to put numbers.
Yeah.
So that's why
So
we're
no,
saying,
so 2, it's gonna be done and then nothing for 2 years.
no, what it is we'll have a year, we come back, we talk. After that, and then that's where we say, okay, can we permit this? We can permit it, we need an entity. And so that's where we come back to the residents and say, do you guys want to do this?
No, but it's not.
Well, well, we would need you guys to help. And so, I will tell you that, Moab is doing a feasibility study to look into it. I'll tell you that much right now. Okay, the question in the back?
Yes, we have just a seasonal cabin. And
You're saying at the holding tank, where does it go? Does it just sit in the tank and you have someone come pump it? I don't know, I guess that's something that we would have to.
What is the minimum gallons per year?
It might be something to where you would want to go with your neighbor, a few neighbors.
To address that, because that's a
I think it's a really good question. Absolutely. And it said that's kind of like the third. We said that we have enough money to do 2 of these. We're gonna see where we are and maybe do a third. So we're thinking about what is that third option is. One that I feel strongly about addressing. And would like to make it a priority. We don't have too many options. We're full of applications so far. I'm trying to remember how many seasonal. Very complicated one that's seasonal. I can't remember the other details. Anyway, it's something that we're very interested in and feel like we need to sort out the details on. How my purpose if they work.
Well, and they started about 250 gallons a day, but there are other approved manufacturers of similar technology that do address those low flow systems, where there are systems that have been for RV parks, where they can do point source treatment of each RV stall, and that's 50 gallons a day. So that's kind of where we're talking here numbers. And so that can come out of the pilot study using similar technology, but maybe a different manufacturer. The hope here is to get more of like a kit of parts where there's no one size fits all solution. We're just get some tools for the toolbox. That's what's going on around. Perfect.
Yeah. Any questions online?
Chuck, I'm the communications manager for the Department of Ecology, and I just wanted to pitch out anybody that hasn't filled down that. That's probably, I'd like to put a FAQ together of questions and answers, stuff that's been addressed tonight, other stuff that might pop up online, and give you something that you can walk away with as well. So please give us your email. We'd like to get a description.
Can you send us this slide presentation?
No, it would be helpful for me to see, I know you say that the sewer is more expensive, but maybe these different types of systems and just over long term. How long is the sewer loan that you have to pay? How many years? 20 years. How long would this loan be? Just the difference of the cost, the difference.
So that's one thing that we can do, a life cycle cost analysis in a year.
Yes, please.
I was just gonna say, if you go to YouTube and type in UC or whatever you pronounce it, and type this sort of system in, they have about 1 minute explanation. It really helped me a lot to understand it. I think there's another manufacturer has it, but YouTube is where you want to go. That's the manufacturer.
Type in, you see this old house, and you'll actually see one of their engineers drink the water out. And then biomicrobics, if you go to their site, they have a link to a video that shows how they're.
Don't get very abused though.
Yeah. Hey, Curtis, is there any more questions online?
Can I
Oh, go
chime
ahead,
in one more
Brian.
time? I'd
Yeah.
just like to add, I think we'll have more cost specifics right after the
Yeah.
pilot. I think
Yeah.
trying to address that stuff before the pilot is in.
Yes.
I have a question. Okay, you put in, say, you put in 20 years, payments on it. Compared to this, who's gonna, it sounds like you're going to buy this product, but who's gonna own it?
The entity,
Being like Newman Homeowners Association?
it has to be a sewer district.
Okay.
So they will be the owner. It's just like if you have a central sewer system, the collection stations, everything's owned by a sewer district. So the sewer district would have to be the owner of these, and the maintainer of these, so that ecology, when we write that permit, that they are functioning as the permit requires. Any other questions? How about online, Curtis?
No, we're good.
Oh, we did a good job. 5 minutes to spare.
I have an online question for you.
Okay.
The installation of only 2 units and 1 year of monitoring going to provide statistically significant data to approve the use of the condition in the lake. In other words, can you take that result of your 2 units for 1 year and it's the lake and see that you could permit?
So I think that is going to be a site-specific data set that we can then add to the other case studies that both these manufacturers have run. And, you know, if we're seeing the same results as these other 30 studies, I think it's safe to say we're going
Did he hear it?
Yes, evidently.
Okay. I think we're done. I want to thank all of you for coming, and I hope you go away from this meeting feeling hopeful that we want to work with you, okay? We don't want to force you. We want to work with you to say, let's do something where we're all happy. Okay? Thank you.
Well, no, I just
Yeah, so I think